Hello, I'm Jackie Taylor from Agritourism Africa, and this is podcast 3. I'm going to cover a few issues here today, and one is what is a vision? Why did I start it in 2016? Well, it really was about rural development. It was about rural communities. It was about helping farmers to diversify and earn additional income. Not everyone wants to be farmers, and farmers have families, and maybe the families, if they would like to stay on the farm, and I'm talking about children, they would like to do something else apart from farming. So that's really how it started, and the benefits I'm going to actually briefly share with you now. The platform is a website, and Camilla is changing the functionality of the website into an online booking platform. So that is important for obvious reasons, but also the whole creation of a brand, Agritourism South Africa and Agritourism Africa. You can Google it and it comes up at the top of the screen. So that is without any funding of any nature whatsoever. And that has obviously been an achievement, but not due to me, due to many people, and obviously due to our members. But we are regarded actually as the top agritourism experts in Africa. And that brings me on to another subject. Why bother with anything international? Well, the truth is that no one in 2016 actually knew what agritourism was. And whether it was going to agricultural events and being shown to the women's hall, or I don't know what they do in the women's hall, because I just went straight back into the agricultural. I was probably crocheting or something, I don't know. Anyway, and then going to tourism events, and then they kept on showing me to the wine tourism side, and I kept on saying, but it's agriculture. And there's many different types of agriculture. There's agritourism, because you have not only accommodation, you have farm tours. So agritourism has everything from ecotourism right through to farm tours on how to grow your berries or how to plant your own vegetable garden. So agritourism, it's been a big educational learning curve. And I must say, I still don't believe that the tourism associations, and I'm talking about the government associations or government bodies, actually understand what rural tourism is. I get asked the question so often, and to try and find rural tourism statistics, which rural equals agriculture, there aren't any, because they haven't actually seen that as a growth point. South African tourism has largely focused on cities, Table Mountain, Kruger National Park, Robben Island. And actually, if tourism is to benefit everyone, they need to focus on the whole country. And that's really come to the fore in COVID. And it's agritourism, certainly not wine tourism. Wine tourism is part of agritourism, but we are not confined to wine tourism. And I think that whole educational curve has really, I've spent a lot of time on it. And unfortunately, you know, if we'd actually been a country where people knew what agritourism was, it would have been easier to get a head start. But despite that, if you go to Google, type in Agritourism Africa or Agritourism South Africa, you'll see that we are at the top of the page. So being there from an international perspective is really important. because we deal directly with other agritourism associations around the world that are government funded, and they deal with things like best practice, different ideas. What do people want when they have an agritourism experience on the farm or on a farm? So the international presence is very much needed. South African tourism does not know what rural tourism is. So that educational process to direct international markets is very important. And people approach me internationally. I don't go out and approach people internationally. They actually approach me. And that is a very good thing for all our members. And that's worth a lot. I think, obviously, and I thank Johan Rothman, he does all our promotional video footage of our members' farms. We have Professor Niels van Heerden, and we just call him Prof. But he does research. He assists us on a number of different projects. He's written over 150 papers on tourism. So he knows his stuff. We've got Camilla, who is an expert in social media and website development. We've got Watsi, who does all the farmer liaison and administration. So we really are a team. It's not just me. And that's really what I wanted to also stress, that we are a team. We do work together. We do speak to one another. So that is definitely one of the benefits. It's not just me. And another one of the benefits is obviously the use of the brand. So the use of the Agritourism logo, the use of the Agritourism design templates, including signage, that is all available. Then obviously opportunities to provide information for media purposes. Remember, marketing is not a one-way process. It never has been. It's a two-way process. And that's why feedback is so important, whether it's feedback from your guests or feedback from international markets or international tour operators, any type of feedback. It's not necessarily a criticism, but it always provides food for thought. And I welcome feedback. I certainly do welcome a two-way relationship. So please, members, do send us information. And, you know, we can't assist you if you don't communicate with us. And we communicate with you, two-way process. So very important is how we interact with one another, how we share information and news, not only nationally, but internationally, and from a business perspective as well. And also what I do talk about a lot internationally is what type of people live in Africa, and in particular South Africa, because people relate to people. And very little is known in some markets about South Africa and about South African rural towns or farming or agriculture. So yes, we export proteas, citrus, apples, pears, whatever, our wines. But when people speak about why they should come to South Africa, I always say it's because of the people. It's because of the South African people. It's because of the African people. It's because of our cultures, of our food, of our different types of wine, different types of agriculture. So interacting internationally is important. And what I've got from these international workshops and conferences and calls and whatever is that what really makes a difference between an average experience and a memorable agritourism experience. And it's all about customer experience. If you want repeat visits, it's about customer experience. And always at the top comes out meeting the farmer, or meeting the farmer's family, or meeting the farming community on the farm, the farm workers. Small touches, obviously, you know, whether you have cool drinks or a bottle of wine or homemade soap, the small touches always count. A brochure or a booklet or 2 pages of information on what to do on the farm, where to go, that is always welcome. People don't know. They will arrive and they will want to know what to do. And then obviously outdoor relaxation space is really what they expect. Cleanliness, you know, that is important, obviously, particularly with COVID. Safety, I've mentioned that before, in the agritourism and what makes agritourism successful podcast. Attention to detail, very, very important. What is your unique selling proposition? What is unique about what you offer? And then obviously local is big, so local food, local crafts. And, you know, this is information that often we don't think about. We just take it for granted. Maybe that what we have on the farm or what we have as members is great, it's an attraction, but we don't realize actually the potential in the small items, in the small detail. And so that's really what today's podcast was all about. I am going to do another podcast on pricing, how you price your agritourism experience or farm tours or accommodation, but I'm going to leave that for a different podcast so I don't talk on and on and on. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.